What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more MMA. I can't even say boxing, but I actually am going to do something a little bit different. Talk about boxing, but also talk about MMA. As you guys know, the MGM in the last year has played host to two shocking upsets in both sports, boxing and MMA. In December, we seen Pacquiao get knocked out by Marquez, a fighter he's fought three previous times, competitive fights, but was never even close to getting Pacquiao out of there. I mean, there were times and hints, but he never even knocked Pacquiao down, I guess is what I was trying to say. So to see Pacquiao get knocked out, it was pretty shocking in the fashion in which it happened. Um, and today we had Chris Weidman, however you pronounce it, and he pulled off the upset, knocked Anderson Silva out, knocked him off. Um, this was, I believe, Anderson Silva's 11th consecutive title defense. He's already defended 10 times, and he's been successful in the UFC. Anderson Silva had no losses, and he got knocked out. He got caught. Um, I definitely had to talk about it, and then I want to break out and talk about some boxing with this. Um, as far as the fight, I seen the fight, and at the end of the day, these are combat sports. These are martial arts. These are fights. These are actual competition. So what Anderson Silva did is pure stupidity. Um, just because you are on top and you're in the throne doesn't mean that there's not someone who's a little bit quicker, a little bit younger, and maybe even a little bit younger. One of the things that's impressive with fighters like Mayweather to me is because for some reason it looks like he still has kept his drive. He always stays in shape, and he treats every fight like it's his first fight, and it doesn't look like so far he's lost the hunger. Anderson Silva, I don't know. Maybe sometimes when you're on top and you're undefeated, you feel invincible, you feel unstoppable. Maybe you become somewhat complacent. But what Anderson Silva did was, in my eyes, it was pretty stupid because he's trying to hot dog and showboat, and you got this guy in front of your face who wants what you have. He wants the belt. He wants to dethrone you. He wants the recognition for being the first guy. Everybody wants to be the first at something. Um, the first dude to fuck a girl, take her virginity, the first in a race, in a relay race, the first person in line during Black Friday sales. Everybody wants number one spot. Everybody wants to be the first at something. So it just doesn't make sense for Anderson Silva to fight in the fashion that he did. Just the showboating and trying to do the drunken monkey or whatever the fuck he was doing. Meanwhile, your opponent is throwing blows, trying to kill you, and you're acting like you're not phased by it, and then you end up getting caught. You have your hands down low, and it was just a wrap. I mean, murder she wrote. It was a vicious knockout too. And then when he hit the ground, the ref had no choice but to stop the fight because he was getting pummeled. And all the props in the world to Chris Weidman. Anderson Silva fought a very dumb fight, and he paid the ultimate price. I hope it was worth it. Now, what I want to talk about is boxing. Since the MGM has played host to two shocking upsets in less than a year's time, what do you guys think of Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather? Will Canelo pull the upset? Can he do the unthinkable and dethrone Mayweather? Um, my thoughts on it, it's a possibility. I definitely don't think it would happen even if Canelo knocks Mayweather out, I don't think it'll be in the same vein as the Anderson Silva knockout. Again, Anderson Silva was on some cocky machismo playing around shit, and then he got caught. Mayweather is one of the most defensive minded fighters in boxing history. So, with that being said, Mayweather is cocky, but he's a different level of cocky. I feel like his persona is cocky. He burns money, he talks shit, he's flashy, he brags about iced out watches. Those things are cocky. His persona, that bravado, that is cocky. But when he steps in that ring, I feel he's a competitor, and he's talked shit about tons of fighters, and then showed them nothing but love after the fight, which leads me to believe that he does actually respect these people as competitors, their accomplishments. Um, if you watch HBO 24/7, he's selling the fight. He's like, Shane Mosley has a nose job, and all this hooting and hollering after the fight. You hear a different Mayweather. You hear Shane Mosley's a hell of a competitor, and same thing with Robert Guerrero before the fight. I don't know who you beat. I don't know who you lost to. This ain't Berto. This the real one. This the real one. And he's talking shit, taunting Berto or Robert Guerrero after the fight. Robert Guerrero is a true warrior. Da 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 da. And he embraces that. So I think people get conflicted with Mayweather. They don't like his antics outside of the ring, but he respects his opponents. It's clear to me because he doesn't really underestimate. He doesn't really go in there like these people don't want to dethrone him. He goes there and does what he has to do. Unlike Anderson Silva is clowning around thinking he's invincible, and then he got pieced up, and that's basically it. So, do you guys think Canelo can do the same thing? Like I said, Canelo's a big, strong kid. He's motivated. He wants to fight. I still don't see it playing out exactly like the Anderson Silva fight, even if Canelo did win, because I don't think Mayweather would be that cocky in the moment, have his hands down and start hot dogging and trying to do the shuffle and showboat. Adrian Broner, on the other hand, I don't really know because Broner is young and he seems similar to Mayweather in a lot of regards and in some of the cockiness. But Adrian Broner hasn't accomplished what Mayweather has accomplished, and he already shows a level of cockiness and um, almost a lack of concentration. Like he's more caught up in being an entertainer instead of doing exactly what he has to do. If you watch Broner's last two fights against Gavin Reese and Paulie Malignaggi, I think Broner was guilty of the same thing in both of those fights. And that is showboating, trying to put on a show instead of actually just fighting your fight and trying to pick your opponent apart and think in the ring. He's trying to please the crowd and do like this matador dancing and stuff. Like in the Paulie Malignaggi, he was hitting behind his head and just showboating and trying to make jokes almost inside the ring. Same thing with Gavin Reese. He's trying to showboat. And I've said this time and time again. Adrian Broner needs to learn when to hold some restraint and not do some of those things because you can't really do those things effectively if you don't have control over the fight, or if your opponent, like Paulie Malignaggi, is throwing punches and you're clowning around. Meanwhile, while you're clowning around, he's outlanding you, he's racking up points and outscoring you, and it's not a good look. You're losing the round, so I don't really understand it, don't condone it. Same thing with Anderson Silva. You're clowning around and trying to have your hands low and pull your head back like he can't hit you, and he's trying to land a shot that'll send you into a retirement or to the canvas. And that's exactly what Chris did. And he floored Anderson Silva. So that's my only advice to a fighter like Adrian Broner. You still have more to do in the sport before you reach that level of cockiness. And get a firm grip of the fight before you try to show off and entertain and please the fans. Because I will tell you this about boxing fans. Boxing fans are fickle. When you're on top, everybody loves you. When you're unknown and you're coming up, nobody really gives a shit about you. But when you make your name and you're relevant, everybody loves you. After that, boxing fans forget about you. They're almost some of the quickest, not the diehard fans, but boxing casual fans. They're like almost the quickest. Like, oh, his reign's over. He's done. Shane Mosley washed up. Cotto's washed up. Arturo Gotti's washed up. Yet, when they were at their prime or on top of their game and they didn't really have many losses, there were some of you guys' favorite fighters. Now that Shane Mosley hasn't looked exceptional in his recent fights, or Miguel Cotto lost 2 back-to-back fights. He's washed up. He's no good. And that's the nature of the beast. That's what boxing is. So for fighters like Broner, meanwhile, you're trying to please the crowd and get their adoration. But at the same time, if you're doing that and you get caught up like Anderson Silva or get knocked out because you're clowning around, them same fans aren't going to give a fuck about you. They're not going to care. They're going to be like, oh, Broner, he was a gimmick. He's washed up. He's a gatekeeper. He has losses. I mean, everybody likes winners. Nobody really likes losers, especially if you're on a losing streak. People wrote Pacquiao off. Tons of fighters. So that's my advice to Broner. Do you think, as far as Canelo and Mayweather are concerned, Canelo can do what Chris Weidman just did today to Anderson Silva? Leave a comment. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.